Hey, welcome to the Backwoods Gourmet. Today we're going to do a Florida Style Gumbo on the Dutch oven, so stay tuned. So tonight we're out here cooking in a thunderstorm. It's been raining all afternoon. Been running in and out of the house, trying to not get soaking wet. But luckily we have this beautiful outdoor kitchen here, out of the weather. Even though it's mostly open, at least we're not getting rained on. We can come out here and cook for you guys. Now, what I want to discuss about this gumbo is we're not making a Louisiana gumbo. This is not traditional or only exclusive to Cajun or South Louisiana cooking. People have been doing this kind of stuff here in Florida and all around the Gulf Coast, the Southern Atlantic coast for years. You'll see many similarities between Gullah cooking in the low country of South Carolina, even all the way up into North Carolina, to Cajun cooking, because we all came from kind of the same heritage of being able to use what we had and what we could grow down here in the deep south and around the the coastal areas. We all had the same ingredients available to us, and everybody had their own twist on how to use those ingredients. And a gumbo was very common in Florida back in the old days, and we're going to do it Florida style today. Going to be very similar, but without as much spice. Here's the ingredients you're going to need. First of all, we need a roux. That's going to make the gravy. Equal parts flour, butter. You can use butter and bacon, or butter or bacon grease, lard for that matter. All right. Then you're going to need some broth. Here we got the shrimp broth. That is from the shrimp we're going to use in this dish, and we cooked the shells from the shrimp in just some salted water and made the shrimp broth. Strain the shells out. Here's some chicken broth. That's going to be maybe needed as well. We're going to use that as backup to the shrimp broth in case we don't have enough. Here we got onions, bell peppers. These are red bell peppers. I got celery, some shrimp. We just caught those yesterday right out of the river. Some nice shrimp in there. And I got one chicken thigh, the meat of one chicken thigh in this bowl. I've got some good smoked sausage. This is from Carol's Sausage and Meats up there in Georgia. Make excellent smoked sausage, any kind you prefer. Okra, right off the plants, right over there. Just pick those, okay, slice them. I have some Creole seasoning just because it makes it easier. I got some of that Cajun two-step and some Tony Satcheries. If you don't have that, salt, pepper, and cayenne pepper to taste. These are pretty tame. That's what I like about them. They're not too hot. All right, because for us Easterners, this gumbo can get really too hot. So today, since it's pouring down rain, thunder, and lightning, we're going to use the propane burner and the 10-inch large Dutch oven. Let's go ahead and get that over there and start getting it warmed up. And the most important thing about doing this whole dish is doing that roux right. And to do it right, you got to get it to like a rusty red color. That's the trick without burning it. So over here on the burner, you'll see I have a very low flame. I don't want it too hot, because otherwise your flour and your butter mixture is just going to burn. And I don't know how much roux you made. If it burns, you got to start the process all over again. You'll never get that burnt flour taste out of your dish. So if you burn it, just start over. Only going to cost you a few pennies in flour and butter. So just scrape it out, clean your pot, and then start it over again. Try to make it easier. It does work really good with charcoal because it's a gentle heat, and you put some charcoal on top. Put on the lid of your Dutch oven, cooks it from both sides. Usually does a fantastic job. I don't think we're going to have too much luck today with getting charcoal to burn very good. Obviously, it's storming. everyone hear me over all the racket, the rain and thunder and lightning. We'll start out half a stick of butter and let that start melting down. Half a stick of butter. You can also use 4 tablespoons of bacon grease, but it doesn't really matter how much you start with, as long as you equal amount of flour. I think it's going to be about right for this size pot, but we'll see. If it's too much oil, we'll add more flour. We'll take some out. But I think we're going to be good, and I'm going to kind of watch this as it melts. If it looks like it's going to be too much, then I might not let it all melt in there. This tea didn't have to have a gravy, and a lot of people think that gumbo, the red color comes from tomatoes, but it doesn't. It comes from that roux, and that roux is where you want to get it, just to that beautiful rusty red color, and that's what gives that gumbo its color, not tomatoes. Alright, so we go chef cam here, give you a point of view, first person point of view. I just put a little flour in there, and this is the trick. Get the same amount of flour as you got oil, whether it's bacon grease, lard, or butter. I try to add it slowly. I want it to just flow slightly. And it's kind of an eyeball thing. You don't want it to clump up. You just want it to be barely flowing. And I like using this slotted wooden bamboo spoon for doing my roux and my gravies. I'll tell you, the lightning's hitting her close. Just off camera there, I thought it hit me, but I survived to keep cooking for you guys. So that was okay. It's been a few minutes, and you see how it's getting nice and dark brown now. And this is about where I would stop if I was doing a regular brown gravy. But we're gonna let it go just a little farther, and what you're gonna see is, and by the way, I'm ready to pull this thing off the fire at any time. But after you go past that brown stage, you start to get a red stage. And you definitely can smell it when it's starting to happen. And you smell that aroma coming off the pot. It's almost on the edge of burning. As long as you go slow and keep it moving. Alright, you guys can see it now. About as far as I'm going to risk it. But it's starting to get that red color. I'm going to go ahead and take it up off the fire. There's still plenty heat in the pot. But I'm going to keep stirring it for a minute. Alright, but it's getting that rusty red color. And it's just on the edge of burning. Yeah, almost looks like rust now. And that, if I keep stirring it here off flame, that's going to go ahead and even get a little more now. Believe me, you're going to need a wooden tool for this, because there's going to be a lot of contact with the bottom of the pot. You don't want to get all your seasoning coming off of there. Alright, but that is a beautiful color right there. And that was what we're looking for. And about that last 10 minutes, I was stirring this constantly. But this is the hard part. After this, everything else is pretty easy. Alright, there's our beautiful gumbo base. In with a little bit of the shrimp broth. And immediately that's going to come up to a gravy. I like to start with just a little and let it start to thicken. It just did. See it starting to stand up. Alright, and I'll go in with a little more. Now your commercial gumbo bases already have the liquid in them, and they're already thick. And they're real thick. So if you buy your gumbo base from the store, it's already going to be pretty thick. And you probably have to put a little bit of broth in it. But that come up to a gravy. We'll let the heat come back up on it and finish it real quick, and then we'll start dumping in our stuff. Well, this rain is really coming now. It's been coming. There's our bell pepper. Use your favorite color. That one happens to be red. Celery. Onions, about the same amount. I'm going to reserve a few of those for closer to the end. We'll let that come up to a boil before we start putting in just in our liquid. I really hope you guys can hear me over the sound of all this rain. There's our chicken. I use thighs, smoked sausage. We do not want to put our shrimp in yet. Only these things here. We want that sausage to release all of its flavor and seasoning. Right now I'm going to go ahead and go over our ingredients. Grab some of that chicken broth. Bring that moisture up just a little bit. Alright, shrimp we're going to reserve those shrimp for the very last. Remember, we already got that essence of the shrimp broth in there. The one thing we are going to do, have on chef cam, go ahead and take a little seasoning. Again, if you don't want to use a Cajun seasoning, which this is just salt, pepper, garlic, and a little bit of cayenne pepper, you can always use those things and adjust them yourself. You want to put a lot of salt in if you put a lot of chicken broth in, because that's already pretty salty on its own. So that looks pretty good. What we're going to do now, go and grab that lid, bring it over. So hopefully the storm's calmed down a little bit now. This has been going about 10 minutes with the other veggies. And I'm going to go ahead and add the okra. And I'm also kind of looking at my moisture level in there. And these okra are going to cook a little bit of moisture out of them and start thickening up. As soon as it starts cooking that juice out of them okras, that good thickening agent from the okra, going to thicken that up. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to add a little bit more onions. Them other ones have cooked down a bit. That's why I want to kind of double the amount of onions that I had, the celery and peppers. So I like the onion right there. That's some of my homegrown vidalias from the big garden over there this year. So we're going to stick the lid back on and go wash that spoon that just fell. We'll be ready to eat soon. Everything's been simmering along real good there for about 20 minutes. Everything is done in our gumbo. I've been adding a little bit of moisture along and along. Make sure it's not sticking on the bottom, because once you put that okra in there, it's going to want to do that. Last thing we're going to do is go in with our fresh shrimp. And all I'm going to do is stir them around, make sure they're all separated. I'll put the lid on it and turn off the fire. We'll leave them sitting there for about 5 or 6 minutes. We'll be ready to eat. Yeah, the thunder's still rolling around here, but the rain finally stops. Let's go ahead and serve this up for you guys. I hope you brought your plate. This looks freaking delicious, I'll tell you that right now. The shrimp look cooked perfectly. Gonna go get a nice healthy serving of that. Alright, put that in our bowl. Let's clean that plate up just a little bit. Alright, so for garnish, I went ahead and cooked up some of our striper we just caught. Made them like fish fingers. Like a little snack around the edge there. It's delicious too, I've already tried it. Then I did some of the fried okra. And I think I'm just gonna put a little bit on top. Give just a little crunch at the top of it. And we'll put a few around the plate. You know, this true Southern style cooking. So there you go. That's Florida style shrimp, sausage, chicken gumbo with some fried fresh fish and fried okra. So let's go ahead and try this really quick. I mean, it smells unbelievable, guys. Some of that shrimp. You want a bite of that. I know you do. That is absolutely delicious. I could probably eat that whole pot right there by myself. And you know, we made a little bit of that fried okra to go around the edges. Try that. Good as always. Good old striped bass me and Miss Backwoods caught just yesterday. Nice and crispy. Perfect complement to that gumbo. So the whole point of this dish is don't be locked into making recipes exactly like you see them here, either on YouTube or on the internet, Instagram, whoever you're following to get your recipes. Don't be locked into that so much. Different regions, people like different things. Like I said, here in the East, Florida, the Carolinas, low country areas, even the Gulf Coast of Florida, we don't like things quite so spicy as them guys out there in South Louisiana, okay? So don't be afraid to venture off from that base recipe. Here we use that base recipe just like you see with all the Louisiana gumbo recipes. But again, very similar. We all had the same ingredients to work with back in the old days, and that's what I'm trying to teach you. Back in the old days, we all have the same stuff to cook with. Just cause it ain't fire hot like Cajun food, don't mean it ain't real gumbo, and don't mean it ain't delicious. So if you like what we're doing, please smash that like button right down there. To subscribe to our videos, you can see that right there. For a whole playlist, cast iron Dutch oven cooking, it's gonna be right up there. And for whatever YouTube thinks you should watch next, look at it right up there. We'll see you next time.